Hello and welcome back to the Common Colt Podcast, the Colts podcast with real takes and no clickbait. I'm Josh Hudgens, joined by Dan Hertzler. Dan, what's up?
Hey, not too much, man. We're in the midst of this off season, and this is the time to start kind of looking ahead and kind of projecting some things. Try to start to say, what are the big question marks? We already did one on an episode on Shaq Leonard. We think that's one of the big three question marks. Another big one we'll do later is probably the offensive line and whether or not they can kind of get back to their original form. But here's another big question we got today, and it has to do with Jonathan Taylor. Josh, what do you think? Is Jonathan Taylor going to bounce back? Is he going to produce the numbers we're expecting out of Jonathan Taylor this season?
Well, it's interesting. Obviously, 2021, he had 1,800 yards, boatload of touchdowns, 18 touchdowns, I think. And then last year, he dropped off. Fantasy owners were upset if you're a fantasy football player. Literally 1,000-yard drop-off almost from the year prior, 14 touchdown drop-off from the year prior. So what just a letdown of a season for the Colts and for Jonathan Taylor, obviously. He had some injuries, ankle injuries, which he had surgery in the offseason, early in the offseason to get that taken care of. He is a running back, and I know he played quite a bit of time in college, and there was some concern coming out of college that maybe he had a lot of miles on him. But I'm here to say I'm not worried about Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is the least of my worries on the Indianapolis Colts in 2023, honestly.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to predict injuries. Okay. So no one can really say, oh, I saw this coming or I see this coming. But one thing we see in the NFL all the time is some of these injuries, they just seem to hang on or they lag on and can really affect a career. And so I'm not quite as optimistic as you are. I'm a little bit nervous about this because he is a running back. He had, I think, around 300 carries per year at Wisconsin. And then, got early load first 2 years here. So he's really pushing now 6-7 years of 300 plus touches. And that's concerning to me. It's concerning to me a little bit as well, too, that, we're messing with ankles and those kind of things. I realize in the midseason it's hard to recover and get back on the field. So hopefully this offseason is. I think it's really unrealistic for any Colts fans to think he's going to bounce back to 2021 level. I think that was just a absurd year, 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. But 2020, can he bounce back to that, to about 1,200 yards and maybe 12 to 14 touchdowns? I think that's something a little bit more realistic Colts fans should get. And I think this is a big thing as far as whether or not the Colts are going to be a successful team or whether it's going to be another rebuilding year.
Well, I don't even think we want 2021 type of numbers out of Jonathan Taylor, honestly. I mean, 1,800 yards is great, but they fed that guy. I mean, there were some games with Carson Wentz where the guy couldn't throw the ball, and it was Taylor, and it was 3-yard gain, 6-yard gain, pound that rock, and that'll wear a guy out. It just will.
Yeah.
He might not have 18 touchdowns, close to 2,000 yards again. But if he's in that 14 to 1,500 yard range, 12, 14 touchdowns, and he's getting less touches, a lot less touches, but his carries are more efficient carries, that wear and tear on his body is lower because we have Anthony Richardson now, who's going to help wear down the defenses a little bit. And just the added element of Richardson possibly keeping the ball, I think is going to open some things up for Taylor, which I think is going to allow him to have a comeback season. I think that the Colts. Oh, did you have something to say?
Well, I was just gonna say you mentioned those more efficient carries. So then you must also believe that Zach Moss is part of this running attack, or you think he's going to be a key contributor here, or do you think the Colts need to go out and get somebody else?
Well, I think Zach Moss played solid at the end of last year. He was strong in between the tackles, and we had Nyheim Hines, who I was a little upset that they traded Hines. Honestly, I think he wanted out. Which would make sense given how bad we've been. But the truth is, Hines was not an inside the tackles runner. I know we did it with him a few times, but Zach Moss can even complement Taylor pounding the rock sometimes. I just think that he's going to be a lot more fresh with Richardson and Moss kind of tag teaming with them. And that's going to help him look like he was in 2021, even if his numbers aren't quite what they were.
So are you buying or selling plus 1,200 or lower than 1,200? Let's put that as our bar. Above 1,200?
Above 1,200. Above 1,200.
Okay, so then what's the average in per carry? I think his career average is around 5. You think it's going to be plus 5?
+5.
More efficient. More efficient. Okay.
More efficient.
Okay.
But he's not. I don't think he's going to sniff three. I don't think he's going to sniff 300 carries. I don't think he will. I would be surprised if he does.
Well, I'm a little bit more pessimistic when it comes to Zach Moss. I think he's a great fill-in. I think they got some concerns. So, maybe they use Isaiah McKenzie as the third down back a little bit, get creative there. Maybe they're going to pull somebody out of, every year you see kind of these undrafted rookies step up. Maybe a running back does there. I think this is still a really big concern, especially with a Colts offense, that you're just not going to hand the keys over to Anthony Richardson and say, "Hey, go win us games." You're gonna want our defense. You're gonna want a balanced attack, and so they really got to figure out this rushing attack. And I think Jonathan Taylor, if he's not number one as the concern, he's definitely top 3 in my book as one of the concerns going into this season.
Yeah, I think he is an integral part of Richardson's success. It truly is. I mean, obviously, if he gets hurt again or something, it's going to be tough for Richardson. But thinking about how Richardson will probably play early on, which is a lot more quarterback runs, and then just watching these guys build off of each other, thinking about having Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson in the backfield at the same time and having Josh Downs in some creative motion. Look, I'm not a head coach. I'm not Shane Steichen, but that stuff would get me worked up if I'm Shane Steichen. I mean, I really like the idea of Richardson, Downs, and Jonathan Taylor all being possible guys, playmakers who can touch the ball and score at any point. I've loved that.
Well, are you concerned again? I'm just thinking out loud and just trying to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. I mean, what if Jonathan Taylor goes down? What if Michael Pittman goes down or Alex Pierce goes down? Like, this Colts offense doesn't really get scary at that point. And then all of a sudden the defense just focuses everything on Anthony Richardson, his development. I think these are some big questions, and I'm not quite convinced that everyone they have on this roster is who they need, whether it's wide receiver, running back, something.
Yeah.
They might need to look for some veteran help out there.
Well, I think you're right. I think adding another veteran in the locker room, whether that's receiver, whether that's running back, just to back up Taylor to help mentor these young guys. It'll help. We do have some cap room to play with, and truth be told, I mean, these teams aren't done being built. I mean, they're built all the way through. I mean, we still have cut day. We still have a lot of stuff that can happen. We have training camp. Guys go down. Guys get whatever holdouts. Trades happen. So a lot can happen. Obviously, the Colts had so much needs going into this offseason, and I think they did a good job plugging those needs. But truth be told, I still do think having a big time number one receiver, we don't have one of those, and I don't think we're going to really get that until next year. So in a way, it's up to Shane Steichen to work with what he's got and show us why he's the head coach and why he's kind of known as that offensive genius.
Yeah. Well, here's the big question then. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your ultimate confident, you're betting the mortgage, the farm. 1, you don't think you have any hope in it. How confident are you that Jonathan Taylor will return to form?
7. I'm confident.
7
or 8.
I think I'm right under. I'm like 4.9, and I'm under 5. I can't. I'm just not confident. Running backs scare me. They just scare me because as soon as they start breaking down, I get real nervous. I'm at a 4.9.
He's 24.
He's 24 with a lot of carries on that body, though.
I don't know if someone cut you off on your way home tonight in traffic or what it is, but you're crazy.
Hey, it's a big year for Jonathan Taylor though too. You know what I mean? Contract year, so he's got to get on the field. He's got to play.
Well, that's another reason why I think he's going to play well. Honestly, I mean, he's got a million reasons why to play well. So
all right.
A couple million.
Well, maybe you swung me to 5.1. I'll swing over, but I'm still nervous. I'm nervous about this one.
Jeez. So guys, comment below and let Dan know. I don't know what's going on with him. Someone cut him off in traffic. His got spoiled milk or something, but let us know. Just let us know what you think. Give us a ranking 1 to 10. How are you feeling about Taylor in your confidence level? 10 being your confident, 1 you think, hey, they should trade him or something. I don't know. All right, guys, we appreciate you watching our show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and again, thanks for watching.